Hello everyone, my name is Sarafi and I'm happy to meet you all. And I'm tired. But I still wanted to give you all a video for today. So, what I have for you today is kind of a brainstorm of what I think the Dark Paladin deck is going to look like with the new skill that's coming out. The only card that we've seen revealed for this new deck is the Dark Paladin alternate art. So, safe to assume they're just going to give us a skill and then Dark Paladin, and it's up to us to try and figure out something. So the skill, for those of you that haven't read it yet, is you can use the second and third effects of the skill once per duel. During this duel, you can normal summon or set Buster, Blader, and Dark Magician without tributing, but you cannot special summon, excluding special summons from the extra deck, level 2 or higher monsters except Buster, Blader, or level 6 or higher Dark Attribute spellcasters. So you can summon Dark Magician, you can summon Buster, Blader, and that's it. Shuffle one card from your hand into the deck, reveal one Dark Magician in your hand, then you can set a Buster Blader from your hand or deck to the field, and its battle position can be changed. That's pretty good. And then during the turn, you have normal summon Dark Magician. You can add one Diffusion Wave Motion and one Polymerization to your hand from outside your deck. Cool. Alright, so this is an easy access to Polymerization, easy access to some Dark Magician plays. So let's go ahead and take a look at what I have. So I'm playing 3 copies of Buster Whelp with the Destruction Swordsman. This is a level 1 tuner. When it's normal summon, you can add a Destruction Sword card from your deck to your hand. Except Buster Whelp, you can only use one of the following effects once per turn, only once that turn. Tribute it to special summon a Buster Blader from your hand to graveyard. Or if this card is in your graveyard, you control Buster Blader, you can discard one Destruction Sword card to special summon this card. So you can use the skill, play your Buster Blader, then you can play your Buster Whelp, and you can synchro into Buster Dragon, or you can maybe fusion summon, you can maybe run an additional synchro, whatever you want to do. Because you have access to Buster Blader so easily, this is going to make the deck a lot more consistent. This card will just draw you whatever you want. Usually you'll probably want to get your Destruction Swordsman Fusion, or maybe your Destruction Sword Memories. Both those cards are really good. We're playing Buster Blader, the Destruction Swordsmaster. This card's name becomes Buster Blader while it's on the field or in the graveyard. If a monster your opponent controls is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target one of those destroyed monsters and equip it to this card. And then once per turn, you can send one monster card you control that is equipped to this card to the graveyard to destroy all monsters your opponent controls with the same type. Cool. So this is like just a fusion material card. It's an okay monster, but generally speaking, what you want to do with this card is just kind of destroy your opponent's monsters with it. The reason why we want to play this card instead of Buster Blader is because it has Destruction Sword in the name. Then we're playing 1 copy of Buster Blader to use with the skill, 3 copies of Dark Magician to trigger the skill, 1 copy of Secrets of Dark Magic so that we can easily access our Dark Paladin or our Dark Cavalry. Secrets of Dark Magic was a quick play spell, so you can use it during the battle phase. It's much better than Polymerization, so definitely want to play this card at 1, and the more spells that we have, the more likely we can use Dark Paladin's effect. 2 copies of Destruction Swordsman Fusion. Fusion summon 1 monster that lists Buster Blader as material from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or either side of the field as fusion materials. If this card is in your graveyard, you can set 1 card from your hand to the graveyard to add this card to your hand. You can only use each effect once per turn. So Destruction Swordsman Fusion is really, really strong because you can just play Buster Blader from your deck. Then you can just play this card and it's super poly. You just fuse. You can use your opponent's dragons to make your Destruction Swordsmaster. You can use your opponent's Dark Magician to make your Dark Paladin. It's just an excellent card. Probably also could play the real Super Poly in this deck, but I don't feel like it's necessary, seeing as you have a recyclable Super Poly that you can search, and it doesn't cost you a card from your hand. So, yeah, this card's great. Karma of the Destruction Swordsman. Target up to 3 monsters of the same type in your opponent's graveyard and banish them. If you do, 1 Buster Blader or Destruction Sword monster you control gains 500 attack and defense for each of those banished monsters until the end of the turn. If this card is in your graveyard, you can discard 1 Destruction Sword card, add this card to your hand. You can only use each effect once per turn. So the reason why we want to play this card is because it is a spell card that we can use discard for Dark Paladin, and then if this card is in the graveyard, we can discard our Buster Whelp to add it to our hand, and then you can just discard the Karma again to special summon the Buster Whelp. So essentially it's like being able to special summon Buster Whelp from the hand, but you gotta kind of jump through a couple hoops. And getting your tuner out without normal summoning is important for being able to synchro summon. Destruction Sword Memories. Discard 1 Destruction Sword card, special summon 1 Buster Blader monster from the deck. This is how we can bring out our Destruction Swordsmaster. You can banish this card from your graveyard, fusion summon 1 Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman from your X deck by banishing fusion materials this time from your graveyard. Great. So we want to synchro summon into Buster Dragon with Buster Whelp and either Buster Blader or Buster Blader, and then we can just banish this card to fuse them. Then we'll have both the dragon and the fusion monster on the field at the same time. Excellent. Lastly, we're playing 3 copies of DNA Surgery. Make all your opponent's monsters dragons so that you can shut them down. Pretty good. For the X deck, we have Dark Cavalry, requires Dark Magician and a Warrior. We have plenty of those. Gains 1 attack for each spell and trap on the field and in the graveyard. Has Piercing. And then when a card or effect is activated that targets a card on the field, as a quick effect, you can discard 1 card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. So if the opponent's not playing dragons, or if they are playing more cards that target rather than spell cards, then you can use the skill to make Dark Cavalry instead of your Dark Paladin. Still a spellcaster, it's still affected by the diffusion wave motion if you want to play that card, so this card is just as good for your skill, and you can run 1 of each fusion monster, it's fine. 3 copies of Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman. This card is acquirable with box chips. 2800 attack, 2500 defense. Requires Buster Blader and a dragon monster, so you cannot make this card with Dark Magician, unfortunately. Must be fusion summoned, cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card cannot attack directly. They actually had to make a link monster that got around that by basically allowing it to attack directly. That's how bad that was. This card gains 1000 attack and defense for each dragon type monster your opponent controls or that is in their graveyard. Change all dragon monsters your opponent controls to defense position. All dragon monsters in your opponent's possession cannot activate their effects. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict Piercing. So yeah, you just summon this card. If your opponent is playing dragons like Rockets or Blue Eyes, you can super poly with their monsters, get rid of their monsters before they can use a card like Successor Soul on you, and then you can just crash into whatever they have and win the game that way. Dark Paladin, this is the point of the skill. Require Dark Magician and Buster Blader. Must be fusion summoned, cannot be special summoned other ways. 2900 attack. During either player's turn, when a spell card is activated, you can discard 1 card, negate the activation, and if you do destroy it, this card must be face up on the field to activate and to resolve the effect. So if your opponent books your Dark Paladin in response to you activating the effect, you don't get the negate unless you negate it again. It's not once per chain. This card gains 500 attack for each dragon monster on the field in either player's graveyard, including itself, so you can just make it a dragon with the DNA Surgery. It's great. Buster Dragon, 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuners, level 8, so you just make it with your level 1 tuner and one of your level suns. You can even make it with Dark Magician, which is really funny. All monsters your opponent controls become dragons. Once per turn, if you do not control a Buster Blader, you can target a Buster Blader in your graveyard and special summon it. Once per turn during your opponent's turn, you can target 1 Buster Blader monster you control and equip it with a Destruction Sword monster from your graveyard. This is a quick effect. So what you can do with this card, if you were playing the Destruction Sword equip cards, which were not, then you could use this to do that. But what you can do is you can equip your Buster Blader, the Destruction Swordsmaster, with the Buster Whelp, even though it doesn't normally have an equip effect. And then on your turn, Buster Blader can send the Buster Whelp to destroy all dragons. So that's fine. This is a great card. We definitely want to play this card. And then Nightmare Cerberus and Nightmare Phoenix just as options when you don't have fusions. Okay, so that's the deck. Basic idea. Normal summon Dark Magician. Use your skill. Get your free Buster Blader. Maybe you can Synchro Summon. Maybe you can Fusion Summon. Pull out a board. The ideal end board is Buster Dragon with maybe a Buster Blader on the field and the set Destruction Swordsman Fusion to steal one of your opponent's monsters. It's great. So definitely try playing this deck. I think it's going to be a lot of fun when the skill comes out. My name is Sarafi, and I was thrilled to have all of you with me.